As Soon observes Kevin, he thinks to himself that Kevin resembles a single sword, focused, sharp, and unwavering. Soon notes Kevin's incredible focus in his eyes, then smiles and comments, "You've honed it well, but it's still not enough." Without hesitation, Soon charges at Kevin with astonishing speed, instantly closing the distance between them. Soon's strike lands, but Kevin manages to block the attack. However, the sheer force of the blow sends Kevin flying into the air. Before Kevin can regain his composure, Soon appears beside him, ready to strike again. Spotting a brief opening, Kevin counters with a swift attack of his own. Though his strike lands, it deals minimal damage. Soon, unfazed, smiles and remarks, "Truly impressive." Releasing his aura, Soon continues, "This has been somewhat enjoyable, but now it's time to end this." Soon intensifies his aura and lands a devastating strike on Kevin, injuring him severely and sending him crashing to the ground. At that very moment, Fernando appears from behind and attempts to strike Soon. Yet Soon effortlessly blocks the attack. Frustrated and shocked by Soon's strength, Fernando retreats, only to see Kevin lying severely injured. The sight leaves Fernando stunned, realizing the immense power Soon wields. Fernando reflects on the situation, realizing that from the very beginning, Duke Dimitry was not present. As soon as Kronos launched their attack, the Duke was evacuated to a secure location, leaving Kevin to take his place. Fernando considers the implications. Had the Shadows discovered Duke Dimitri's absence, they would have ransacked all of Dimitry. Despite the dire circumstances, Fernando sees Kevin's decision to hold his ground until the very end is foolish. At that moment, Henderson and McBurney arrive, running toward Fernando and declaring their intention to help. Fernando quickly briefs them on the situation, stating, "Our opponent is a 6-star swordsman. From now on, we must fight with full force." With determination, the trio charges at Soon together. Fernando's initial strike is blocked by Soon, but Henderson and McBurney flank him, attacking from both sides. However, Soon suddenly releases his aura, sending all three of them flying back. Just as Soon regains his footing, he senses another presence, a mage behind him. The mage unleashes a powerful fire spell, hurling it towards Soon. To everyone's shock, Soon withstands the attack effortlessly, using only the palm of his hand. Intrigued by their coordinated movements, Soon wonders about the extent of their training. Determined to end the fight, he decides to take them all down. With unwavering resolve, Soon invokes a new spell, Shackles of Darkness, preparing to unleash its full power. Fernando is trapped by Soon's spell, unable to move freely. Seeing this, Henderson realizes the gravity of the situation. If Captain Fernando falls, it will be the end. Henderson reflects on the journey that brought him here, remembering how he was inspired by Lord Roman's example to pursue the path of a swordsman, an unlikely choice given his ordinary background. Despite the odds, Henderson has made remarkable progress, but his limitations as someone with average talent are undeniable. Time and again, he has questioned what he, an ordinary swordsman, could possibly do for Lord Roman and Dimitry. After much deliberation, he reached one conclusion. He would give everything he had. Returning to the present, Henderson stands between Soon and Fernando, bracing himself. With unwavering determination, he takes a direct strike from Soon. Soon is stunned to see Henderson refusing to release his sword, despite the overwhelming pain. Witnessing Henderson's sacrifice, Fernando realizes that Henderson is buying them precious time, and they must not waste this opportunity. Summoning his innate mana energy, Fernando breaks free from Soon's spell. Soon's attention shifts toward Fernando, creating an opening. Seizing the moment, McBurney intercepts Soon, blocking his path and preventing him from escaping. With Soon momentarily distracted, Fernando unleashes a powerful strike, landing a decisive blow that brings Soon down. As the battle subsides, Fernando and McBurney rush to aid Kevin and Henderson, determined to get them the medical attention they desperately need. McBurney and Fernando use the healing supplies they have on both Kevin and Henderson, but the injuries are severe and show little improvement. Henderson, despite his condition, tells Fernando that the war isn't over and they must do what needs to be done. Hearing this, Fernando stands up with a serious expression and replies, "Understood." Turning to Kevin and Henderson, he says firmly, "Just wait and don't die." Filled with anger and determination, Fernando vows to take down the remnants of Kronos immediately. The scene shifts outside, where Mystic is facing Felix from Dimitry. Mystic is shocked to see that the mage can hold his ground against him. Wondering if this is truly the power of the newly established Dimitry, Mystic decides to retreat. As he turns to leave with his subordinates, Mystic warns, Dimitry shouldn't think this is the end. As Mystic and his group attempt to retreat, a yellow-haired woman appears in front of him. "I told you not to let me catch you," she declares. Mystic is stunned by her sudden appearance. The woman confidently states, "I'll make sure you reveal where he is hiding." Before Mystic can respond, a massive explosion erupts on the mountain where the Kronos forces had gathered, marking a decisive moment in the battle. A few days had passed since Dimitry successfully repelled Kronos' invasion and Mystic fled. Dimitry, having swiftly reorganized, finally welcomed back the eagerly awaited Roman. The scene shifts to Roman entering Dimitry with his forces, greeted by the jubilant cheers of the people. The citizens of Dimitry gathered to celebrate Roman's return, congratulating him on his remarkable achievement of making it into the continental rankings. Later, inside the palace, Roman greets his father and announces, "I have returned." His father, while proud, remarks that he should ask how Roman is, but given the current situation, he hopes Roman will understand the urgency. Turning serious, his father inquires how Roman believes Dimitry should address the situation. Despite Roman's accomplishments, the Kronos invasion left fear and anger rippling through Dimitry. Roman reassures his father, saying, "Don't worry. I will take care of everything." Lucas then informs Roman of the significant damage Dimitry has suffered, highlighting that Kronos appeared to have moved their forces without the use of a warp gate. This revelation puzzles Roman, and he begins to wonder how Kronos could have achieved such a feat. Lucas assures him that he will investigate the matter thoroughly and report back with detailed findings. Lucas further reports that Kevin and Henderson's conditions are critical. Both sustained severe injuries during their battle with the six-star Aura swordsman and are currently hovering between life and death. Henderson's condition, in particular, is extremely dire. Roman, however, remains composed and asks, "They're alive, right?" When Lucas confirms, Roman instructs him to lead the way. Upon reaching them, the doctor informs Roman that today marks a critical turning point. Despite using the best potions and the power of the priests, the doctor has only managed to keep Kevin and Henderson alive. Their conditions remain highly unstable, and, troublingly, a mysterious aura lingering in their bodies is hindering their recovery. Observing this, Roman reflects silently. So it has come to this. Memories of the past surface, memories of the Mad Demon, a follower of the Heavenly Demon Baek Joong-Hyuk. The Mad Demon had always led the charge in battles against the 9 great sects, defeating countless enemies and securing victory for the demonic sect. Trusted deeply by Baek Joong-Hyuk, the Mad Demon eventually met his end, a loss that left Baek Joong-Hyuk furious. Yet, even in his rage, Baek Joong-Hyuk accepted the deaths of his followers as an inevitable part of war. In a life filled with constant conflict, he saw sacrifice as a necessary stepping stone to ascend to greater heights. Returning to the present, Roman reflects that the sacrifices of Kevin and Henderson were perhaps the best choices for him and Dimitry. However, for reasons he couldn't fully explain, Roman felt a deep anger welling within him. He couldn't simply let them die. Resolute, Roman declares, "From now on, I will personally oversee their treatment. Everyone, step back." Roman begins using his heavenly demon art, focusing on the essence of life as he observes the state of Kevin's and Henderson's bodies. He notes that innate energy, the life force one is born with at the moment of birth, is critical. Depleting it completely results in death. Roman decides to imbue a portion of his own innate power into their bodies. Despite knowing that this sacrifice would reduce his own lifespan, Roman is unwavering in his decision, willing to trade a part of his life force to save his loyal subordinates. Days pass. 2 days turn into a week. During this time, Chris arrives at the mansion with a grave expression and insists on meeting Lord Roman. The butler informs Chris that it is not allowed, as Roman is entirely focused on the treatment and is not accepting any visitors. Chris, understanding the situation, replies firmly, "I understand." However, the kingdoms of the Salamander continent have convened an international conference regarding Dimitry. Dimitry must consolidate the alliance's stance to hold Kronos accountable, prompting Chris to insist the butler step aside. The butler obliges but advises Chris to remind Roman to take care of his health as well. As Chris enters the room, Roman inquires about the situation. Chris informs him that an international conference has been convened, and given the gravity of the matter, he had no choice but to come, even if it meant interrupting Roman's efforts. Hearing this, Roman remains silent for a moment. Sensing Roman's hesitation, Chris says, "I understand how hard you've worked to save Henderson and Kevin, but Dimitry can't afford further delays. We must condemn the Kronos Empire's atrocities decisively. If you don't attend the conference, the Allied kingdoms might sweep this issue under the rug." Roman finally responds, "Even if Dimitry attends this international conference and persuades the Allied kingdoms, true vengeance will remain impossible if their sincerity is not genuine." Chris, however, disagrees, insisting that Roman's presence is crucial. Roman looks at Chris and reassures him, "I know what you're worried about. Just as Henderson and Kevin gave their all for me, now I must give my all for them. Trust me, Chris. Just wait." As Chris steps back, he notices that Roman appears visibly weakened. The scene shifts to the international conference, where the Allied forces have gathered. The King of Odelia addresses the assembly, stating that the situation is highly complex. He emphasizes that the unprovoked attack on Dimitry by the Kronos Empire is a grave atrocity deserving punishment. However, the king expresses his concern that this could escalate into a full-scale war. He warns that such escalation might accelerate Kronos' ambitions for continental conquest, potentially bringing their plans to fruition sooner than expected. The Allied kingdoms, gripped by fear, have seemingly fallen into Kronos' trap. The Kronos Empire's war with Dimitry has revealed the existence of a new means of transportation that bypasses warp gates. This discovery implies that no nation on the continent is safe, serving as an implicit warning to all. The King of Odelia continues, suggesting a cautious approach. "Since none of us desire further conflict, let us demand assurances in the name of the Allied kingdoms that this will not happen again. Let us seek a definitive answer, but leave room for negotiations." Hearing this, the King of Redford stands and apologizes, stating firmly that he cannot agree with Odelia's position. The scene then shifts to 1 month earlier, where Redford's forces inform their king that Valhalla and Kronos have joined forces. The soldiers of Redford express their concern about Roman, the hero who saved their kingdom, being targeted. They urge that something must be done to help him. The King of Redford acknowledges their sentiments, stating that he feels the same way. He recalls how Redford, once on the brink of ruin, found a chance to recover thanks to Roman's intervention. Returning to the present, the King of Redford declares with conviction, if necessary, Redford will go to war for Roman. Addressing the assembly, he criticizes the group for deliberately ignoring the essence of the issue. He reminds them that the Kronos Empire launched an unprovoked attack without justification. Furthermore, Valhalla openly allowed assassination attempts on their land and deliberately chose to do nothing to prevent them. Everyone here knows what that means. The King of Redford continues. If anyone dares to stand against Kronos in the future, none of the Allied kingdoms will be safe from the Empire's threats. He stresses that ignoring the harsh reality will not make the problem disappear. The issue will only grow until it spirals beyond our ability to resolve, he warns. Responding to the King of Odelia's concern about the possibility of a full-scale war, the King of Redford pointedly asks, "So what if it does?" Meanwhile, the Kronos Empire will continue to widen the gap between itself and the Alliance, and some among the Allied kingdoms will align with the Empire when it suits their interests. The King of Odelia, visibly irritated, exclaims, "What kind of nonsense is that?" Angered, the King of Redford retorts, "What you're saying is nonsense. If any of the Allied kingdoms were under attack by the Empire, would you still be able to say such things?" His words leave the assembly in stunned silence. The King of Redford then declares, "As of this moment, the Kingdom of Redford is withdrawing from the Allied Kingdom alliance. He adds, when the Empire's blade turns toward the other Allied kingdoms, I will watch to see if you all still speak the same way then. With that, the King of Redford leaves the conference. Afterward, Edwin steps forward and addresses the assembly. He reflects, when I heard that an international conference was to be held, I had hoped for a different outcome, something unlike the past. Edwin reminds the other kingdoms, I'm not sure if everyone remembers, but the origins of the international conference were truly humble. He then recounts, when I first attended, the conference looked like this. Instead of issuing a proper punishment for the Kronos Empire's atrocities, the focus of the Kingdom Alliance has been on resolving the issue amicably. Of course, in the past, the Alliance lacked the power to oppose the Empire. But now, the situation is different. Despite the Kronos Empire deploying shadow units, high-circle magicians, and even a 6-star swordsman, they were unable to bring down Dimitry. What makes this assembly so disappointing is that even with Roman Dimitry, an exceptional challenger, the Kingdom Alliance remains stagnant and unchanged. Edwin rises to address the assembly, stating, Hector was never part of this alliance to begin with. From now on, I will handle this matter separately. Turning to the other members of the Kingdom Alliance, Edwin warns, do not regret today's choice. Your failure to correct what is wrong. When the time comes, with that, Edwin leaves the assembly as well. The scene then shifts to Roman. He reflects that he has done everything he can. From this point on, Kevin and Henderson must survive on their own. If they let go of their consciousness now and accept death, there will be no more options left. Roman's thoughts drift to his previous life, where he had failed to notice those around him, consumed by his own path. Roman didn't even have time to mourn the deaths of his comrades and subordinates. His life was too intense and relentless for grief. In the end, all that remained was regret. However, in this life, Roman is determined not to leave any regrets behind. He wants his subordinates to survive. Stepping outside, Roman is met by Chris, who tells him, You've worked hard. Roman replies, From now on, I want you to summon all the lords of the Duchy of Dimitry. A short time later, all the lords are gathered. When Roman enters the room and takes his seat, the lords rise and greet him. Roman begins, stating that he has heard there are differing opinions on how to handle the current situation. Those who have grown accustomed to the atrocities of the Kronos Empire must have forgotten how to be angry, he declares, his expression hardening. With anger etched on his face, Roman continues, I am displeased with this situation. Kronos will pay for attacking Dimitry. One of the lords hesitantly inquires, Are you really planning to go to war? Roman's response is resolute. The moment Kronos' assassins targeted me, the war with the Empire had already begun. Those who believed in me and followed me have died. Roman orders the lords of Dimitry to issue a state of alert and begin gathering their forces in preparation for war. He declares, as of this moment, the Duchy of Dimitry is officially at war with the Kronos Empire. The scene then shifts to Edwin, who is visibly shocked by the news. He cannot believe that Roman made such a significant decision without consulting him. Frustrated, Edwin instructs his subordinates to contact Dimitry immediately. He then initiates a magical call with Count Fabius to seek clarification. What exactly is Lord Roman's intent? Hector needs to understand his plans, Edwin demands. Count Fabius replies calmly, It is exactly as you've heard. Lord Roman intends to exclude Redford and Hector from this matter. He plans to act with the combined strength of Cairo and Dimitry alone to seek revenge against Kronos. Count Fabius continues, therefore, Lord Roman requests that you announce this decision at the international conference immediately.